The world of personal finance is full of many different tools that will help you track your progress towards achieving financial independence and even let you visualize what the journey could look like. In this video, we will go over the essential free tools for any member of the FIRE community. These tools focus specifically on retiring early. They visualize your journey towards financial independence, help you understand your risk factors much better, and present the importance of savings rates. But before we start, feel free to leave a like on the video, as every like, share and comment help the channel out tremendously and I really appreciate it. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe with the notifications turned on for more personal finance, investing, business and motivation related videos, as well as weekly book summaries. So we all know that making a lot of money is just one of the ingredients that can let you retire early. However, if you spend it all or pretty much all of it, you are very unlikely to be able to retire early. This is why savings rate is way more important than income on this journey. So, the first tool that we're gonna be looking at helps us calculate and better understand the effect that savings rate has on time required for us to retire. Now, you might have seen a chart that looks something like this before. Now here we have a visual representation of how various savings rates affect the time it takes for us to retire. Notice that the chart offers the required time as a result of only one factor, savings rate. Your income is not even part of the equation here, as you can see. And this handy calculator over at Networthify.com will help us better understand why that's the case, aided by a visual representation. So let's say someone makes 40k a year and their annual expenses are 25k. This would give them a savings rate of around 38%. And with that savings rate, they can retire in like 23 years. And how do we know that? Well, if we click on show more options, then we can see that our ROI here is 5% and the withdrawal rate is 4%. So that's basically 4% rule with what sounds like a pretty low return on investment. And if we show assumptions, then we can see here that this assumes that your annual expenses are going to be the same after you retire as they are right now. And this is basically the 4% rule. It also assumes that the money you invest is after-tax money, and that all the returns are also after-tax returns. So while 5% might sound low at first, since it's after-tax, it's pretty much a nice number. So this thing crunches all of those numbers for you and gives you this representation that shows you where you are, like on the possible outcomes, like what would happen if you also increase your savings rate and what would happen if it dropped. Now it also gives you this cool table that shows you like year by year how much money your ROI generates and how much of your expenses you can cover with your ROI. So it's pretty cool to look at. Now, when you look at this number, it's kind of very far into the future. So this person would definitely need to work on these factors in order to retire even more early. So there's two things that they can do. They can increase their income or lower their expenses. Now, since lowering expenses is much easier thing to do for most people, let's do that first. And this gives us a savings rate of about 50%. And that's still around 17 years into the future that we can retire. Now, the problem with lowering your expenses is that you can lower them only so far as they go. You're always gonna have to pay for food and rent. That's why, your minimum expenses can only be a certain amount that they can't go below. So after that point, the only thing you can do to increase your savings rate is increase your income. So let's try and increase some income here. And as you can see, we're immediately going to get increased savings rate if and only if we keep spending the same amount as saving all the rest, all the additional money that we are earning. And as you can see here, that increased our savings rate. And it also reduced the number of years that we have to wait for the retirement. Now we're only at 12.5 years. The problem with this is what most people end up doing is they increase their expenses as their income increases. And what this does, it pretty much leaves your savings rate the same. So the number of years that you have to wait until retirement remains the same, regardless of your income, if you keep increasing your expenses as your income grows. So what you should be doing instead is keeping your expenses the same while increasing your income. So your savings amount is gonna keep increasing and thus your savings rate is gonna keep increasing and the years to retirement is gonna keep decreasing. And this tool is pretty good for visualizing that. So if you increase your income this far, then your savings rate would jump up to this and you would have to wait 10 years. If you manage to increase it all the way up here, not there, but here, then it will take you around 7 years to retire. And if you manage to get like 80% savings rate, it will take around 5.5 years to retire. So this is why, as you can see, savings rate is the main thing that drives like the time that you have to wait to retirement. The amount that you save, not that you make, is what dictates how long you're gonna have to wait. Because if you can keep your expenses low and increase your savings amount, then you're gonna be able to retire sooner. Now again, this thing, running these calculations, is pretty much like focused on 4% withdrawal rate that we know is the 4% rule. And there are other tools that let you like visualize exactly how that works and how big of a chance you have for it to fail on a given period. Now, of course, there are many people that have doubts in the 4% rule, and these tools are really great to demonstrate just how that works and how big a chance you have to fail. And most importantly, they give you like a nice visual representation, so let's take a look at some of those. The first one of such tools that we're gonna be looking at is FIRECalc. Now this one, it doesn't calculate how much time it's gonna take you to get a nest egg that can keep you retired early. Instead, it shows you what your nest egg is gonna perform like over the years. So for quick math, I'm gonna put $1 million portfolio and 40k a year, so that's 4% withdrawal rate. And let's see how that's gonna perform over 30 years. So this gives you a chart that shows like all the possible portfolios and how they performed over the years and puts them all on a chart on top of each other. Now, if any falls below this red line here, that means that you ran out of money, so it's zero, it failed. Your spending is adjusted for inflation, which means that your money power is preserved, you're not like spending less over the years. And it shows you how much of possible events it's gonna track and gives you all the juicy details here. And at the end, it shows you how many of those cycles failed and what's the success rate. So this is basically the visual representation of the 95% success rate or the 5% failure rate of the 4% rule. As you can see, we had 120 cases here and 6 of them failed. So you can see literally every one of them here crossing the line and the rest of them going above the line. And you can see how far above the line they are. Well, since we used just the quick start here feature, let's see what that actually means. So we had a 75-25% portfolio and we had 0.18% fees, which is actually quite a lot on today's standards. And those are the results of that portfolio shown right here on this graph. And that's what makes this tool very powerful and useful for people who have anxiety about that 5%, especially if you're gonna go and let's say put 50 years here because you're gonna retire way more early than usual. So now it's gonna generate that graph, and as you can see, that has much higher failure rate right here. Out of these 100 cycles, 22 failed, and you can see them drop below the line here. And that also lets you experiment with the numbers. So let's go and reduce the spending rate, thus lower the withdrawal rate, and let's see how that's gonna perform over the 50 years. So this is 3.5% withdrawal rate. So let's see how that does over 50 years. So as you can see, the 3.5%, it gives a success rate of 95% over 50 years instead of over 30. And these graphs, they're not assumptions, they're based on historical data. So this is pretty much a nice ballpark to work on. And let's say if we lower the withdrawals to 3.2% over 50 years, then we get a 99% success rate portfolio, only one is above the line right here. And if we go all the way below to 3.1%, then we have a 100% success ratio. So this is as safe as it can be portfolio right here. Now, besides just messing with your nest egg size and your withdrawal rates and years to come, you can also add other spending and have pensions and stuff like that. Also, you have different spending models and how your inflation is gonna work out. All of that can be adjusted right here. So it's a pretty robust tool. And one more very similar tool that I'm gonna show you is cFIREsim. So it basically works pretty much like FIRECalc, but it has different kinds of charts. So as you can see, we have pretty similar stats right here, and we're gonna go with 4% withdrawal rate. So let's see what that's gonna yield. As you can see, that this, instead of putting the charts on top of each other, it puts them over a span of years, and you can see how each one of them performed. And you can see some of those even failed here because they dropped below zero. And let's try and lower the withdrawal rate for this one right here. We're going over a shorter period of time, and as you can see, all of these succeeded right here. And you can even compare the differences very quickly by just switching between these tabs. And that's pretty cool actually to see. Now, besides these online tools, most major brokerages also have their own online tools that are gonna let you see how your money is gonna compound towards retirement and how that nest egg is gonna perform after you retire. Another tool that a lot of FIRE community members have recommended to me is ontrajectory.com. Now, I haven't tried it myself because it's a paid tool with a free trial, but I did get a lot of recommendations for it, so I'm gonna put it here also. I was very happy and excited when I discovered these tools a while ago, and that's why I wanted to share them with you. Obviously, this video is very unscripted compared to my other videos because of the practical use examples that I wanted to do, and I hope this didn't make it too distracting for you to follow. Thank you for watching, and I really hope these tools will be useful to you. As a final note, let me just clarify that none of this is investment advice. You must always do your own due diligence before investing, as it's your money and you and only you are responsible for the consequences of your own actions. With that out of the way, really thank you all for sharing the videos with friends and of course destroying the like button. There's much more investing, personal finance, business and motivation related content on the way, as well as weekly book summaries, so feel free to subscribe if you have not done so yet. I'll see you in the comment section below, so enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye!